Welcome back to Crystal Clear! I'm Ostrich Fox, and Homeworld Bound is the episode of Steven Universe Future that will be attached to the theatrical release of Steven Universe the movie on March 23rd, 2020. It is also the first of the 4 episodes that make up the Steven Universe Future series finale. Now, because it's attached to the movie, a lot of people are expecting the return of Spinel, that Spinel will be featured in this episode in some way, shape, or form. After all, Homeworld Bound, the diamonds are on Homeworld, Spinel lives with the diamonds.
That makes sense to me.
Well, maybe, but I don't believe this will be a Spinel-focused episode, even if she appears. You see, I'm pretty confident the diamonds are likely going to be in the episode fragments, which means Spinel will be in the episode fragments. However, I can believe that they'll return to Homeworld at the end of the episode, but as Steven's corruption begins to spiral out of control, he decides he needs their assistance and needs to make his way to Homeworld. And I know what you're all thinking. Steven's corruption isn't a definite thing, so why would you bank on that being a part of Homeworld Bound? And well, because the episode is called Homeworld Bound, that in itself implies Steven will be traveling to Homeworld, but why would it take an entire episode? He has the galaxy warp, right? Well, let's talk about that and what we could expect from the episode Homeworld Bound, because I feel as if it's going to be a wild ride. Of course, spoiler warning, if you do not want to know any potential plot points for Steven Universe Future, please click off now. With all that said, let's dive in. So to quickly recap, common theory that Steven Universe will be corrupted at the end of Future. There's an episode titled I Am My Monster, which seemingly confirms that he will become the giant beast in the opening, or at least it strongly implies it. We could be here all day stating, oh, what else could the episode title mean? How it could be a misdirection. I'm pretty confident Steven is Wormy Boy, and I actually believe this theory builds onto that. You see, when we first got the trailer for the final episodes of Steven Universe Future, we felt as if the shot of Steven storming into the beach house, clearly after being gone for a while as the gems are standing around waiting for him, but he dashes right past him, covering up his right hand in his pocket, is, in context, Steven corrupting, starting at his hand, and trying to rush to the bathroom to heal himself with the diamond essence, which of course would likely be unsuccessful due to Steven being a gem hybrid. But fans have also pointed out that when Jasper began to corrupt in Earthlings and Centipedal aka Nephrite began to re-corrupt in Monster Reunion, both of their corruptions started at their hand, just like Steven. And as other people have been barking at me for not covering in my breakdown, Steven's doodle of Stefan has his right arm crossed out because again, Steven isn't any good at drawing at hands, but it's the same hand he has covered, so it very well could be a foreshadowing Easter egg for Steven's corruption starting at his hand.
My left arm is numb, is that normal?
So let's bring this back to our original talking point, Homeworld Bound. Steven has a galaxy warp in his diamond base. There really isn't much reason for him to just not naturally warp to Homeworld, unless, of course, he was corrupting. Because something I remembered earlier this week was that in Monster Reunion, once Centipedal began to re-corrupt, she was unable to use a warp pad, and Steven was the one who had to warp them back to her ship as a result. So now, with the tables turned, it makes sense that Steven would have to use other means of transportation to Homeworld because he couldn't use the warp pad due to the process of his corruption, which again, I feel as if will be a slow burn. So if Steven can't use the galaxy warp, and he's not talking to the gems, he's avoiding them, he doesn't want to make things even worse for them, he's not having a great time, he's not thinking rationally, if he's pushing them away, but needs to make it to the other side of the galaxy, what can he do? Well, in Little Graduation, our dear space pirate pal Lars Brigga said he was going back into space and mentioned that Steven can visit him because Lars's hair is just an access point for Steven. So, I believe Homeworld Bound will see Steven go through Lion's Mane and out of Lars's head, and as a proper send-off episode for Lars and the Off-Colors, while also setting in motion this final arc, Steven will ask Lars if he can take him to Homeworld because he needs help, he's not doing good, his body and mind are falling apart, and he doesn't know how much time he has left. Or, going off the episode title, Everything's Fine, Steven may be trying to hide his corruption, still requesting for Lars to take him to Homeworld, but claiming an entirely fabricated reason. Again, with this episode being attached to the movie, it does make sense Spinel could come back into play. With the idea of Spinel and the diamonds being in fragments, perhaps Spinel extends her hand out towards Steven, putting it out there that, yeah dude, we should hang out sometime. Let's catch up and reconnect. Although going off the episode in dreams, with the injector appearing in one of Steven's dreams, Steven may still have some complicated feelings towards Spinel that he doesn't exactly want to deal with, but he doesn't want to hurt her feelings either, so he tries to keep the door open. Steven claims to Lars, oh, I need to go visit Spinel. But the conflict with this episode will be, of course, Steven actually trying to get to Homeworld, as I believe he'll come out of Lars's head and find Lars in the off colors in the middle of a giant space adventure. Perhaps we'll see Emerald for one final time. Perhaps actually in person and not over a screen. Perhaps we'll actually get the introduction of a new Homeworld gem. We haven't really got any introductions to new gems who weren't previously corrupted since the episode Together Alone, unless you want to count the brief glimpse of other planets we got in the Steven Universe movie. As I speculated in the past, I still believe we could see a return of the mean Lapis Lazuli, aka Curly Lapis Lazuli, aka Regina. I just can't see these antagonists not returning, especially since they were included in Cartoon Network's recap video. And again, while Lars is out there in space trying to go to other planets and spread his message, while Curly Regina is out there likely still terraforming planets, they're inevitably going to cross paths. And we still need to see Lars use his powers. Come on, don't snub us. Not to mention, in Why So Blue, there was actually foreshadowing that I didn't pick up on until later, like maybe last month, when Steven communicates with the two Lazulis. Curly Regina asks,
"Should we listen to him?"
with Freckles Lohan Lazuli responding,
"He is half diamond. Maybe we should half listen."
They're a group of two. Half of that group went to little homeschool. They did half listen, which means the other one won't listen. We'll still be out there terraforming planets, and with the small window we have, with everything going off the rails and Steven just needing to get to Homeworld as quick as possible, it makes sense he would encounter some bullshit, and he'd be kind of hesitant to fight because of his powers on the fritz, because he is slowly corrupting. Which again would be a pretty neat excuse for Lars to use his powers. But also, I'd like to mention that Steven being on Homeworld could be kind of dangerous for him. On one hand, he could step on the planet and be regarded as a hero, a celebrity, everyone gassing him up and telling him how great he is, which may actually mess with his head even further. He's feeling down on himself, and then a slew of gems who don't personally know him view him with such high regards to his face. He's just going to think, that's not really me. You guys are giving me way too much credit. If you guys knew how I actually was, you would just leave. Or alternatively, no one would notice Steven because they'd all be caught up doing their own thing. Maybe Steven would arrive on Homeworld kind of expecting to be showered in affection, only for everyone to be thankful for him. He gets a hi, a hello, but beyond that, no real big recognition. Not to mention, with the likes of Bluebird Azorite out there, Steven could also be leaving himself vulnerable to an ambush from any other gems who remain on Homeworld and absolutely despise him. They introduced this supply of gems out there who still hate Steven, and I believe that will come back into play, even if briefly, because we only do have so much time left, in order to sort of push Steven to the limit even further. And I'm not saying this as a mustache twirling villain. I don't want to see Steven suffering in pain and getting jumped on the streets of Homeworld. But these were all seeds that were planted throughout the story. A story they knew would be finite, they knew would be one-off. So I'd be very baffled if none of the things I said in here, not even don't happen, but rather aren't incorporated in some way, shape, or form. But as always, these are just my thoughts, and I want to hear yours. What do you think? What do you believe could happen in Homeworld Bound? Will we see more of Steven's corruption? Why? Why not? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, or tweet your thoughts at Roundtable Vids. And for more of my own thoughts, you can find me at ARTWITHKODA. We're also on Instagram. Special thanks to ARTWITHKODA for creating an awesome thumbnail. For more of his wonderful art, you can find him on Tumblr and Instagram at ARTWITHKODA, and subscribe to his YouTube channel. Link down below in the description. Help Roundtable grow by either becoming a member of this channel or supporting us over at Patreon. Link in the description. If you enjoyed this video, please throw it a like and subscribe to the Roundtable for more great cartoon content. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have an awesome day. ARTWITHKODA signing out.